webinar is titled Cybersecurity in 2026 and Why Compliance Alone is No Longer Enough. In today's webinar, we have a very special guest, Dr. Chikezie. He is a Senior IT Manager and Chief Information Security Officer at West African Gas Pipeline Company. So he will be joining us in today's webinar together with Samuel, our lead ITSM solution at OnPoint, and together they will have a panel discussion. But before that, we have a presentation delivered by Dr. Chikezie to talk more about this topic. So let me invite him in. How are you?
I'm great. How are you too?
Good, good. Are you ready for today's webinar?
I can't wait to start. It's indeed a thing of joy sharing my experience on the topic with our teaming audience. I can't wait to start, Iman. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So before starting, if you can introduce yourself briefly so that everyone's watching gets to know you, sir.
Great. I am a man with so many feathers. I will just focus on my name because I know if I should go ahead to enumerate what I've achieved and where I am today, it may even impact our duration for this engagement. So I'll go straight by my name out of humility. My name is Nwagu Chikezie. And of course, like you said, my current role is Senior IT Manager and the Chief Information Security Officer for West African Gas Pipeline. I enjoy what I do and I wake up to it every day. Thank you, man. Back to you.
Thank you so much. So, sir, the floor is yours. You can start.
Great, great. So welcome our audience. This topic is very topical and it's coming at a great time that we cannot overemphasize its important. Why is it very important? Now, where we have increasing geopolitical tension everywhere that has dropped the leaders, global leaders at the crossroad, it is very important that we x-ray and distill this topic, especially for leaders to know what to do. Why is it also important with the current geopolitical tension? It has created a thriving ground for bad actors, the cyber criminals, to thrive. Why? Because people do say that when the cat is away, the mice will play. That's exactly what has happened. The ground is now open because people are now focused on the war, and these guys are busy attacking people and company, especially the state actors. So this is me. Looking at the screen, you can see who is talking to you. My name is Dr. Nwagu Chikezie. I have strong expertise in IT, OT, cybersecurity. This is my favorite thing. This is my bread and butter. This is something I like waking up to do every day. And of course, in that same skill set I am a transformation strategist and chief information security officer with over 20 years of experience. And then with this job, I have been in countries, and then my role take me across Ghana, Nigeria, Benin. And I've visited Europe. I've been Europe over almost on regular basis. I've been to US, I've been to conferences, and I've spoken in a lot of webinars and conferences too that borders on AI, machine learning, cybersecurity, and of course, the talk of the day, which is digital transformation. So this is me, and then what do I bring? Going below it, you see my LinkedIn link. If you want to connect, please feel free. We can take this discussion beyond this place. So this is my educational profile. Of course, the award has come with it. I'll quickly go through it, and I want to emphasize on my research excellence. In 2019, I was awarded as one of the best researchers in data communication and networking. And it's not something that just comes out of the blues. It goes a long way to x-ray my day-to-day commitment and my contribution to the discourse of cybersecurity and data communication and network and data communication. And of course, going down, you see the recognition that has come with it, and it was given by that's WordPress, Ruler, RULA, please you can find that out. I wouldn't want to bother my head for that, but it's there on my profile if you want to check more. So, what are my significant achievements in digital transformation and security? It's there stated there. I have led so many digital transformation initiatives, and the one that I would want to emphasize more is the second bullet point. I kind of organized what is called Idea Incube and was able to look at the manual processes we have across the pipeline and were able to come out ingeniously, lead a team, come out with digital transformation strategy, and then we're able to come out. Today we have delivered over 20 innovative projects that has produced significantly 35% return on investment. Is amazing, and it's something that gives me joy every day. And then on security and compliance, which is part of what we're talking about today, I led a team, company-wide ISO certification, 27,000 ISO certification on OT and IT infrastructure. I'm sure you can imagine the level of work that has gone into this before it was achieved. And of course, I still come innovatively in moving the company legacy systems and application, transforming them and modernizing them, of course, migrating them to um, cloud platforms without forgetting that I'll be mindful that of security techniques that are required in our SCADA, which is called process control network. And this is done with what we call air gap mechanism, which I'll be speaking to extensively should anyone ask me any question in that regard. So that is me. And then what is my signature approach to technology modernization? Technology modernization has three cornerstones, which is people, process, and technology. And you cannot, I emphasize, excel in one and remain the other two. And for me, given my experience, what is key here is people. If you go with technology, you leave people, it will be a failure. If you go with processes, you leave people, it's going to be a failure. But don't forget, process has a direct link with people because who are the people, who are the custodians of this process? These are people. And then how can people work well with that culture? That's where it's very important. In fact, for me, one of the biggest cornerstones is culture. Be it security, be it digital transformation, you cannot excel without culture. So that's why I say aligning people, process, and platform is something that must be done so that they feel their stakeholder. They feel, look, this is how this is going to help us in our work, in what we do day to day. So that's a great one. That's my approach. And then top industry certification, they are all there. I have over 40 certifications. I just selected few to not make this number busy, and I still want to learn. I want to learn, and I keep on learning every day. So it's indeed a pleasure being with you. This is somebody who will be talking to you. Please feel free, because of your questions, you can throw a question from anywhere you feel that will add value to your company, that will add value to your business, that will add value to what you do on day-to-day basis. So with that, I learned to the topic of the day. Like I said, it is typical and topical. um, Ab initio, the coining of the topic was how ISO 27001, SOC 2, and NIS 2 does not equal to real security. I was very careful about that because real security foundationally start with compliance. Okay, so that's why I try to recoin it to bring it out this way, saying understanding ISO 27001, SOC 2, and NIST because they are compliance versus real security, and I will explain more. First and foremost, for want of for clarity and common understanding, ISO 27001 simply means certification for information security management system, and it is the bit of ISO that requires certification for organization to prove to stakeholders, to prove to customers that look, we are complying to this standard. So it is a good thing that boosts image of the company before stakeholders, before the public vis-a-vis security. Next one is the SOC. SOC, like we all know, is system and organization control. It is mainly a requirement for providers, people who are into selling tech, to convince your client, to convince your customer that look, I comply to the key cornerstones of security. Talk about integrity, talk about availability, talk about um, security, yes, talk about privacy. There are five of them. So this issue, you have to prove it to client that you have maintained this for a period of time, not a one time of perhaps you get your report to cover this integrity, availability, and confidentiality over a specific time to show the client that look, this is what you have, that them doing business with you, that they will not lose their steam vis-a-vis being attacked or being dragged to the mud because of a compliance issue. So it is an assurance that a provider offers to his client and then people whom he wants to do business with. NIST, which stands for Network and Information Security. Two, it is a directive. In fact, it is a new directive that came in October 2024 for European nations, European Union. What does it say? It says one of the key ones, which I think organizations should be very careful of here, is that it's emphasizing on the need for you as a service provider to a critical infrastructure in the Europe to report any cybersecurity incident within 24 hours. It is a directive. That's why it's not like, oh, it's a law, it's optional. I think ISO 27001 is optional. SOC, yes, you want to prove that it's not as if anybody is mandating you, you must have this. Even though now with the level and dynamism that we are seeing in cybersecurity, SOC 2, for me, is a critical requirement if you're a service provider and if you're somebody who trade in that space. So NIS2, like I said, is Network and Information Security. Two, is a directive. Above all, it has placed a burden on CEOs, and the burden is that if you fail to comply to report any cybersecurity incidents in 24 hours, you have to let go. I think it's 2% of their gross revenue, annual revenue. And you can imagine organizations that they were within 9 figures, 10 figures, 20 figures, what that 2% means. So it is a huge responsibility on CEOs. So their eyes must be wide open to make sure that any incident, once it is noticed that it's reported to European Union, in this that are in charge of this enforcement to make sure that they do not they are not found wanting. So, given that background, all these three frameworks are compliance driven, and I will compare it with real security. Like I said at my intro, you cannot say compliance is not equal to security. Yes, to an extent it is true, but I would say that compliance is foundational to real security because it is a structure. People do say, or let me put it this way, compliance gives you structure, technology gives you capability, but people, and I say people and the culture they operate in shows or proves that security actually works. So let's move to the next page. This is my overview. I'll talk about the common ground of these three frameworks, and I'll talk about the limitations of this compliance framework, and then give a kind of strategic insight for security leaders. I should complete this in the next 15, 20, at most 30 minutes, because this is just to be a pointer for people who are listening. And when we go into question and answer session, please feel free to go beyond this if you have any concern you want me to help you throw some lights on. So what is the common denominator here, which is the common ground? All of them are just compliance. All of them are compliance-driven frameworks. All of them are audit-based assurance. All of them are not real-time security. And compliance is something that we leaders would want to embrace. Why? Because compliance gets the fund for you. and of course, shareholders or stakeholders' confidence. But what keeps you out of the front page is real security. That's what I would say here. Next, what is the key similarities across this framework? Like I said, all of them are documentation, audit-centric approach, and they are validating point in time. It is not continuous. They, they are validating security as at the time the exercise is being carried out. What has happened after that exercise being carried out, or what has changed in the space, this cannot do it. And that's where I think it does not really complete the real security we're talking about. And then the is policy heavy focused. I don't know how to say this. It's telling you, oh, you have to do A, B, C, D, E. As a matter of fact, like ISO 27001 has control families. This control families is what you expect to comply with. But does that mean that the current change in architecture and the way we work, that this is good for it, is something that I'm going to talk about later. So it's a minimal requirement. It is foundational, no doubt about it. But does that give you full range of security coverage? Like I said, I'll talk about it later. What is the limitation of this compliance? First, it does not dictate um, real threats, because the threat space these days is dynamic and it's changing. Why? Because the things that we used to do before are no longer the way it is. For example, the basic network architecture, or the old legacy, I would use the word legacy here. Legacy network architecture is the castle and moat type, and we all know what it says. Build your edge devices, stack them, make sure that they are firewall, they are this, they are that, they are this, so that you people won't come in. But we all know that that space has been disrupted. Today, people work from home, people work from the road, people work in anywhere they found themselves, as long as they have access to internet. And this makes it much more consigning, and then makes through this our users exposes our attack surface, so to say. So, what am I saying? These security compliances, there are some gaps that it has not addressed. For example, the real threat detection has not addressed it. Like I said, people work from home, work from offices, and that alone has changed the network. The has it's not changed. It has made our castle and moat approach of network almost been almost not not things people look out for. It has rendered it almost I won't say useless, but rendered it inefficient. Why? Because people are the attack has now moved from that kind of approach into identity. And that's why I tell people EDR is very good, but the main EDR in the current dispensation are human beings, are your employees, are the staff. EDR, for some of you don't know, it means endpoint detection and response. And I am saying the new perimeter, the one you form layers of security devices in your workplace, is not human being. And that is why you have to go extra mile to make sure that you align your security methods, security approaches, security techniques with people's culture, and make them feel they have principal stake, and keep on raising the awareness every now and then. Whenever there's change in that space, you raise it for them and you educate them and tell them what to expect. Should they see any phishing, social engineering, the various forms that it takes place, you must educate them. And that is why the castle and moat approach has been drifted, has been made almost not very efficient. And that's why the approach now is now on zero trust techniques, on zero trust initiative. And that zero trust focuses on identity, which is now the individual. And that zero trust emphasizes the need for us to always verify and never trust. Like our normal VPN in our normal traditional setup. Once you have access to that VPN, you come to the environment and do whatever you want to do. Like zero trust say, give the least privilege, use the least privilege approach and give access. Give access to the application alone, not to the entire environment. And of course, carry out thorough micro segmentation. Come to your environment, look at the critical infrastructure you have, segment it. So that if they have access to one subnet or another segment, they won't have access to other. With that, you make it difficult for lateral movement. Because these days, as things have moved away from generative AI to agentic AI, it's a different bowl of fish. It's a different thing for you to face. So this is the security gaps that have been left unaddressed by the same compliances that we have enlisted. Of course, it does not cater for human risks. It was just evaluating what the system say it has, not even putting human into the bigger chunk of it. Because if you look at in the past 1 or 2 years, all the cybersecurity incidents we've had, 70 to 90% of them is due to credential compromise, and it borders on human beings. And that is why I say human beings are the new perimeter. They are a new EDR. Now, identity-based attack, it has to move from devices, because if you ask me, I will say technology has not failed. As long as we configure it very well, it has not failed. But we humans have failed. We have failed. We drop our guards because we feel we are pressured. We feel we want to get something done quickly. We go in the public place, we connect to open Wi-Fi without even validating that Wi-Fi, without even trying to use a shield like a VPN, without even trying to know, oh, is this a captive portal? What kind of security do they have? Am I vulnerable? You don't do all those, you jump in because you want to have access to internet. And then that's what we call shadow IT, which is everybody now is having access to a lot of IT tools. And because people are becoming ingenious, people are becoming creative, but not all creativity it borders on integrity or is genuine. Let me use that word. Not all creativity is genuine. Some of these bad actors use these things to expose you to attack. Of course, if there is something like ransomware as a service, then you know that not all creativity is genuine. Now, getting all these tools is good. Software as a service, there are so many of them. But the big concern here is that there are misconfigurations. That's why it's always good. Any platform you want to embark, engage the security consultant to assess it for you, vet it for you, and confirm it's fit for purpose. There are tools for doing all those. And with that, you can now configure it, engage the OEM or the provider to give it a proper configuration that will not make you vulnerable. And then you must ask from them, what is their patch culture? Because we all know that 0 day is what the attackers are exploiting every day. Now, finally, the dynamic cloud and environment. People keep on moving from one environment to the other. Okay, this one they say is cheaper, you jump over to that one, or they scatter their application, enterprise application in different platform. I am not saying it's bad, but if you must go that way, um, um, let it be consciously done, putting security into the main motive behind it. Of course, get request for your SOC 2 from them, they share it, and then take it through your internal drills. Does it align with your medium, and long-term goal? If it aligns, does this give you what you want as an organization, perhaps you want to expand? So that's just that. There is a lot to say here, but if anybody wants to throw a question to that would be fine. But I would want to create more time for the main question and answer session. This is my could be my last batch of slides, and I call it strategic insight for security leaders. This is very important. The space has changed so massively, and it's still changing. And my call for all the leaders is that you have to bring in a change mindset here. You have to come to the game with change mindset. If not, if you think you can hold on to what you have in the past, to what you are doing in the past, my response to you is that relatively you are moving backward, because the world is moving so fast, and IT OT field is changing so fast. As I'm talking to you now, new things are coming out. New things are coming out. and it's coming out bordering on secure by design and privacy by design. So I hope question pops out from there. We can take it beyond here. And I say, moving beyond compliance for true security, what do you need to know as a leader? Security challenges in hybrid and remote environments. Yes, hybrid is good. Work from home, work from street, work from hospital, work from the market, they're all good. But you must make sure, one, that there are inherent security measures in the tools they are using. And the users are well aware of the danger, that increasing danger or risks that are inherent in that space. What this has given to us, challenge that working from home and hybrid, it has increased the attack surface. Unlike before, you come through an environment where you have castle and moat architecture, everybody's connected. Anything that's going to come is not coming from the device. You have edge devices, and they tend to monitor and control what anybody does. It has changed, and that is why I say the EDR, the endpoint detection and response, is no longer devices. Yes, you may have it there, but it rests more on humans. They are the new perimeter. So, lots of physical oversight we have that has been disrupted absolutely. It's no longer everybody will be in a hall, be in a building, be in a place, no longer. Or being geographically dispersed and using a common domain, that is no longer the new normal, in my opinion. Now, identity is a new front door. This identity that we're talking about are human, they're employees. So, what will you do to make sure that these users or employees are aware of how they should work? You have to always keep on going to them. Say cyber security awareness, cyber security training, cyber security simulation, always doing it every now and then, and be ready to guide any of them that would want to come to you to be educated. Make it point of duty. It is critical for you. Why? Because it's no longer a configurational issue. And I tell you, technology has not failed us, but we humans have been the vulnerable point. So, what is my message for the leaders? Remote work did not break security. It is old security model that has failed to evolve. That's where the issue is. And of course, a mindset also that has failed to evolve is also a part of my statement here about old security model. So, and if you keep on carrying out consistent awareness, cybersecurity awareness, you could make people walk away from that, if not even knowing, not even knowing that they walked away from that. Again, if you do not do that, and you go ahead buying state-of-the-art equipment, building it, like I said, castle and moat approach is no longer the new normal. The new normal is work from everywhere, hybrid and remote, and you are building that. If you check the number of staff you have every day, you check the number of hours they put in the office, you find out that they spend more outside than the one they spend in the office. And perhaps you are a company that has field workers. You find out that you will not even get that number. So the best option is to invest on your employees, educate them, raise their awareness consistently, so that they will buy into it and they will be guided right. And they make your communication channel open, wide open, so that anytime they call you, you'll be reachable, so you can guide them. And of course, with that, you minimize that same bit of it. I wouldn't want to jump the shadow IT. I made mention of it. There are so many of them now. Organizations choose what will work for them after carrying out their risk assessment and then go through it. Like we know, we have so many uh, large language model now. We have so many of them. We have the ChatGPT. We have the. I don't want to mention their names, but the point here is that as they are coming in, organizations choose the one that will fit for their business, both now and in long term. The users, because most of these tools are free, they will go ahead to download and install and all this and all this because they want to get to their hands on us. Approve one, approve restriction on others. And then make it point of view that no user will be able to even install that, even to run it on their browser. There are so many granular security you can set up to guide against that. So with that, I move to the second bullet point, which is what leaders often get wrong when scaling cybersecurity. I know we all know that organizations these days expand very fast. because of the need to sustain or increase their market share, and also because of the increasing competition out there. And this is good. Why? Because it has lowered entering barrier for every organization, but it exposes us. Sometimes we leave security behind while we are scaling, while we're expanding the market. Sometimes we leave security behind when we employ new employees. Sometimes we leave security behind when we are carrying out some big strategic plans. Security should be number one thing you have to put. Now, when you are planning for expansion, perhaps expansion into a new market, perhaps expansion into a new zone, people do normally leave security. As a leader and what is inherent in the space now, security should be on the front burner. Security should be something you assess. Okay, imagine the NIS tool for Europe Union. You don't know about it and you dive into that place and you have incident, you don't report it in within 24 hours, you have to pay heavily. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. So that is why you have to make security number one thing. As you venture into the new market, as you have new employees, security should be number one, always number one. And so the mistake is that thinking that cybersecurity is a technology problem. From where I sit and my experience on this job, it's not a technology problem. It's far from that. It's not even in the neighborhood of it. Now, buying tools before defining strategy, for me, that is calamity. You must define your strategy, assess it, define the strategy, be a roadmap for you, what you have to do now, and how you're going to do the things you want to do now, and then project into the future. And the key cornerstone and denominator is security. You must assess it from that angle. Now, not aligning security to business growth. Like I said, you want to venture into new market, new employee expansion and all that. You must align that growth with security. Security should be every step of the way. Every step of the way. Any vendor you want to bring on board, security should be considered first and assessed thoroughly. Never out of exigency and let's overlook security because it may come to hurt you. Then training. Training is what some organizations consider nice to have or when the need arises. It's no longer that, especially when it borders on cybersecurity. This training should happen regularly because the field is changing every now and then, and these users whom you have prepared to go after the lions, who are the cyber criminals of this world, to go after catching agentic AIs or preventing agentic AI attack, they should be knowledgeable. You should be able to provide that level 1, 2, and 3 support to make sure your organization is protected, to make sure their users are informed and guided against this vulnerability. MFA, fatigue, mention them so that users will know when these are coming and what to do, and then be confident enough to confide in you. Now, the fifth one is underestimating the importance of identity and access governance. Like I said, the cyber security techniques has moved away from customer mouth. It's now on individuals, and that is a different level of attack. What do I mean by that? Should you have used your password anywhere and username, anybody who lets on it, the organization is as vulnerable as anybody can think of. Why? Because with agentic AI, once that account, even though the account may not be a high privilege, once that account find his way into your environment, it's gonna go down. If you're using Windows, go down to PowerShell, elevate his privilege, and then start doing things autonomously. That's where it is dangerous, autonomously. So that's why people should guide their identity jealously. In addition to that, there should be stringent governance. Guiding that space from an organizational point of view. What this will do is that it will give every user that sense of security, that what I am using, what I used to log in is me. And if I drop me anywhere, anybody who wears me can turn the organization off. It's very important. Then what's my message for leaders at this point? And I said very clearly, identity is the new attack surface. Humans are the new perimeter. I've been saying this over and over. Most breaches today involve compromise compromised credentials. I'm sure you don't know this. Mention them, the Nikes, mention them, Colonial Pipeline, many of them. So I'll move straight to the next. That's on a concluding note. I want to first and foremost say compliance is important. Like I said, compliance gives you structure, but technology also gives you capability, no doubt about it. But people, and I said people and the culture they operate in determines if security actually works. Now, and I have said clearly that compliance is important, no doubt about it. But this compliance, they have limitations. They do not continuously monitor security. That means that they do not totally equal to real security, but they are critical foundational part of real security. Now, strategic security practices, we have to be ahead of the curve all the time as leaders. Adopting proactive and strategic security measures enhances assets protection, especially in a complex threat environment like the one we're operating today, where people are all of a sudden becoming so huge that they keep on attacking people, attacking organizations, attacking companies. Well, you never can tell. It could be even a strategy. But the point is that we should be ahead of the curve. With that, I want to pause now. Iman, please let me know if you are ready and if you can hear me. Please let's take it to the next level. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chikezie. Thank you for this insightful presentation. So now we will move on to the second part of this webinar, which is the panel discussion. And here joining us, our lead ITSM solution at On Point, Samuel.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Eamon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Sir.
Hi,
Thank you for the presentation. I was enjoying, and I have my notebook here, and I really hope that we have more of these sessions where we allow you emphasize on these insights you shared. Really grateful for the learning. Okay, so typically I have some few questions. I want to draw from your insights. I lead ITSM solutions, and so what we do is that we help organizations with incident management workflows. To help them respond faster, especially when these threats are detected. Right. So I wouldn't see myself as a cybersecurity expert, but I just sit in between, ITSM and security. So the questions I'm really going to ask are for practical insights that I have seen some of these cyber leaders ask. Right. So my first question is from where you sit, right? Especially now where AI is the buzzword and organizations are rethinking AI in their strategy. How do you foresee, for example, AI improving on organizations' risks in terms of cybersecurity? How do they use AI to kind of improve their chances in detection? Because of course, if they detect faster, they can mitigate faster, hopefully, right? So, do you think AI will play that proactive role from a defense point of view in organizations to detect faster, especially threats? And maybe the second layer will be most of your presentation highlighted the importance of training humans, as humans are the first entry phase, right? Do you think AI in organizations, potentially, I'm just asking them this because, potentially because of the presentation, right? Do you think AI can help organizations, for example, be proactive in tracking wrong human behaviors? Detecting fast. I don't know. It's just a question on that to help that. So, I know my question is long and I really want to ask more questions. So if you can share insights on that. Thank you.
So, someone, thank you. I strongly believe your questions are genuine, and they are. When I answer, you know how good the questions are. They're absolutely great. For me, I will start by saying AI has come to help mankind. Okay, and then it speaks volume of the amount of data we have accumulated over time that have been used to train this AI, and they are now serving our purpose specifically. Of course, when I talk about specific, I'm talking about um, um, generative AI. Okay, I'm talking about uh, artificial narrow intelligence (ANI), because they serve for specific purposes. Um, when you talk about using AI or to see if AI could do all those, I tell you, AI today has moved away from artificial narrow intelligence. And we used to say, oh, AI cannot have our cognitive abilities, but it has changed. If you know what robots is doing in warehouses today, if you know what agentic AI is doing, then you know that it has totally changed. So can we use it to build a line of defense?
Correct.
Absolutely. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very yes. Why? Because the level of data that is being amassed today from websites, from blogs, from organizations are so massive. And let me tell you, data is a new currency.
Correct.
Data is as strong as the money you have in your pocket, the value you have in your banks. That is why all these bad actors are basking in the sun looking for this data. So it's possible. Let me give you an example. Microsoft I don't want to go vendor, but let me just give you an example just for even sake. Microsoft has got a tool, which I wouldn't want to call it because of advert, but it has automatic orchestration response. Okay?
Okay.
Security orchestration automatic response. And then have another one which is security information and event management.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it a short name. So these things this one gathers logs in, this one reacts, meaning that if he sees anything that looks abnormal from the normal activities of human beings, nip it at the board and then pick it and then flag it. Of course, that takes action. That is AI for you. Then you asked me about bringing humans up to date. I think
Correct.
that's the biggest investment.
Mm.
That's training. That's the biggest investment because we are the attack today has moved away from technology to identities. And when you mention identities, we're talking about human beings, we're talking about employees. And if you we're all students of history. If you look at history over time, 70 to 90 or 95% of our attack has always bordered on credential theft, credential loss, credential dropping your guard with your credential. But if you educate and train users on the dynamism behind current attacks, cyber attacks, they should be able to at least have some level of caution against social engineering. Social engineering takes so many forms, and that is why awareness on the user side is key. And that is why I emphasize training. Training is no longer nice to have because training for me is synonymous to preparing an army to go hunt perhaps lion. You know, lion is dreadful, and then you give that army a toothpick to go after the lion. The question is, will the lion eat the army and use toothpick to clean its teeth, or what will the toothpick be for? So that is why training is very, very important.
Second question would be that you mentioned how organizations should have a security first culture. I mean, the security awareness first culture. To of course, facts that they should consider security in business growth. In technology. My question is: there's a CIO out there who has been, for example, who just got into a new big company and realizes security culture is work, for example, or it's not the best. I mean, let me for what strategic advice? I mean, and this CIO probably is listening to you. Sorry for the background. Yeah, so a CIO who is leading an enterprise, maybe a bigger company for years, and he has seen that the security culture is not good, especially the one. and he needs some practical insight in that. How to even start this? How can he reach his organization to have that security first culture? So I want to just ask you from your experience and leadership insight, what advice would you give to that student? How does he start the re-engineering? Any areas he can start from? I mean, what are the things he should be saying, and what mindset positioning should he have? So that's my second question. More fun.
Yeah, I think I heard you somewhere. I heard you loud and clear. It's another good question. My advice from professional and personal point of view. When I talk about personal, I mean um, um, professional. What I mean by personal here is things I have done on my own. Okay. Now you are a new person, a CEO. Of course, before any organization employ you, you might have met their expectation. First thing I would want to ask is that you must know the security terrain of that organization. So I sincerely call on you to liaise with management for them to carry out audit for you. And this audit will not be something that they just carried on the periphery. No, it must go deep on the configuration, not ticking the checklist. No, okay. If it's possible, if you feel you don't have in-house expertise that can do that, you can see if the organization can get such expertise for you, because you need to know the security posture of this organization. The moment you know the security posture of this organization, the whole thing becomes easy for you. But
Mhm.
that's where you will start building your strategy. And of course, build your strategy with the current realities on ground, and then be able to seek confidence from management. Remember, I said
Mm.
that compliance
The
gets you
structures.
formed,
That's right.
and stakeholders' confidence. But
Mhm.
what keeps you out of the front page is security. And for a CEO to be for you to appear on the front page, I'm sure you know what it means, especially when it borders on security violation or cyber attacks. So that is the first one. Every other thing can follow suit. Carry out audit and then know what is on ground.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for that. I mean, so just to mention that the CIO should request for an audit to understand the security estate of that. Of course, I mean, a deep dive to make decisions from there. So thank you so much. So my last question, right, Doc, will be, um, how would you weigh the need for an effective CMDB, that is a configuration management database? Because when we were talking about shadow IT, where you looked at organizations having different tools, especially now, I mean, I read an article said the average enterprise have over 239 applications, I mean, in the environment. So, I mean, that means 200 different configuration settings, across. So, I mean, that really hit me, because that is the reality we are seeing. So, how would you weigh the importance of a configuration management database, to capture the configuration details of all these tools, just for quick, how do you call it? Quick referencing and diagnosing. So, if you are weighing on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you weigh the need for a good and accurate configuration management database? And what advice will you give to a CIO or a leader in terms of monitoring a proper CMDB? Is this something they should prioritize highly, or averagely, once the applications are doing work well, they shouldn't really prioritize that? So I just want to ask that question as a final question. If Iman gives me more time, I have more questions to ask. So over to you, Doc. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's another good question too. I'll be straight and direct here. Configuration management is a key proponent or key component of ITSM, which is Information Technology Service Management.
Yes,
And
sir.
you cannot say that you want to get any SaaS without having the configuration. That was what I meant by when I was talking. That you need to engage the provider to provide SOC 2 for you,
Okay.
and you take this SOC 2 in, align it with your business need, and these are your internal realities on security. Okay, and this is a place that when I make mention of identity and access governance, it borders on configuration management. So
Okay.
that it's not something that anybody could just build up any SaaS and then try to um, ride on that on their own. No. And again, the organization should have restriction on who does what, especially in the space of allowing people to use shadow IT tools. Right? Then if you want me to rate it from 1 to 10 on what on the importance of configuration management, I'll give it 10.
Mm.
Yes, to summarize my response to your question,
Correct.
if configuration management, if I want to rate it from 1 to 10, I'll give it a 10.
Correct.
And why am I giving it a 10? I said emphatically that without control, that would be measured.
That's true.
And when there is no measure, security fly out of the window.
Yeah.
That's rapid.
All right. Thank you so much, Doc, for the questions, for giving me this opportunity to ask my questions and answers. I really look forward to having more sessions. We do have ITSM Connect event where we bring CIOs and leaders around it. It would be an honor to have you. So, Iman, this is me by way of leveraging on this to ask.
Sure.
Yeah, so Doc, this is just the last social issue I've seen in the tech space, right? Leaders are worried about the way skilled people whom they have invested training into leave the organizations. I mean, especially from Africa, the brain drain is high where they invest knowledge, time, train people, and the person leaves. I mean, this is just for me. What is your advice for any leader, any technology? I mean, it's a social issue, right? I mean, but it's a major issue when the core people you've trained over time lead the organization. There's a huge gap. So is there any advice you can give them to help them in terms of balance the skill set among the teams? Or I don't know, or there's nothing they can do. I just want to get your, that's my last question. Thank you so much.
Sorry, Samuel, thank you. I lost you. If you could just summarize. I lost like 5 seconds ago. If you can just summarize it out.
I just wanted to get your leadership advice on training people and day living, especially your top guys, especially in the area of security. Invest talent and money and training and they leave. So how does a leader, how do you balance that? Do you train widely or narrowly, or what are some of the measures to ensure you don't lose the best talent in terms of the security area of the organization? Thank you.
Okay, I think this is another good question, Samuel. To answer it straight on, I would want to suggest that people should carry out balance in everything they do. If you hit on security training without having a commensurate revenue to fit other responsibility, I tell you it will be in vain. But you know the value of your organization, and you should make out a certain reasonable percentage and customization to meet your security requirements. And if you must leverage cloud, you must make sure that cloud gives you a SOC report, and that cloud shares with you how they've managed incidents. Of course, within your cloud environment, you have responsibility for security. I'm sure you know that. But I'm talking about from the boundary side of that cloud provider. Then I think training is very important. When I talk about training here, I don't mean to the technical teams alone. I mean users, because security awareness, cybersecurity awareness is training on its own. And if identity, which are users, have given us another attack surface, we should make sure that that environment is fortified. Because where they work from, you don't know. They work from roads, streets, anywhere they find themselves. Look at they can find the internet. If you well educate them, there are certain internet sources you don't need to connect to, and why they shouldn't connect to, and what to look out for before they connect from the internet. And even if they connect to public internet, what is additional making is an additional shield they have to be in to make sure they are protected. And of course, organizations should move away from open VPN that gives you access to the entire environment to network zero network access.
Okay.
that gives you access to specific application if you're working in the cloud. With that, you will fortify your environment, you will have educated the users, and then minimize attack surface. Thank you, Samuel.
All right. Thank you so much, Doc, for the insights shared.
Okay, thank you so much, Sam, and thank you again, Mr. Chikezie, for this insightful session. What you said is really, really valuable, and I'm sure we'd collaborate again in the future. So at On Point, we organize regular webinars every quarters, and we also have other events like IDSM Connect in Africa, and we'd love for you, Mr. Chikezie, to join us at this event. Thank you so much.